Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix Show. My name is Chris Wong. Today we're going to talk all about that Batman v Superman live director's commentary from Zack Snyder himself today on Vero. I have the link to the replay of that commentary in the description below. So if you haven't gotten a chance to check it out, please do so. It's a good one, a really good one, covering the entirety of the 3 hours. Lots of things you can take out of this thing. It's massive. There's so much content in this that it's gonna be hard for me to go through all that unless I talk for like 3 hours, right? So I'm just going to tell you kind of like the bullet point version of this, if you will. It's funny because Zach actually knocks a little bit from people who hated Batman killing, right? He says those thugs, so any scene where the thugs are being killed, he goes, those thugs are fine. They're fine. He would have shot them rolling on the ground and getting back up, but, he decided not to. So he says they're fine. They're 100% fine. Of course, we know they're not fine, but, I like how he plays that. Even the part in the warehouse scene where that thug pulls a grenade, he's like, well, he pulled a grenade himself. That was his fault. So there's some shade thrown around for that, especially one of the ultimate shades towards the end of this commentary. But initially, he starts off with actually showing the Batman v Superman screen where he's going to click on and really pointing out that it says 28% rotten, and he says, 28%. Well, that's rude, and I was cracking up by then. It was funny that he mentioned that, and I like how he just playfully says that, because he knows that all of us fans are watching it with him. We're fans that are watching with him. We're not haters. We're not people who will probably, I mean, there are probably some haters out there watching it for some reason or the other, but it's most of us were fans. Even Debbie kind of joined in for a little bit, commenting a few things like they should do a hand reel, because Zach loves to shoot hands. He loves to shoot his hand, loading a gun or flipping the phone, things like that. Lots of shots with his hand. Zach even revealing certain things about he shot Dave Bautista's hand in Army of the Dead. Also, the fact that the guy who plays Jimmy Olsen has a role in Army of the Dead. So there's some of that as well, right? But for the most part, he goes into a lot of depth. And I love that he goes into the substance, man, not just the technicality of the shots, which are really awesome, and how he shot this, or how he composed that, and how he did that, and his drawings, which he shared a lot of his drawings with us, which was awesome as well. But I love the substance part of it, and it really shows how simple and lazy the statement a lot of people give his work is, that he's a lot of style with style over substance, and I don't think so. I think it's substance. A lot of his style has substance, or it's an incredible style with a fill to the brim with substance, and he clearly explains that in great detail for a lot of this movie, including simple things like how the film begins with the death of the Waynes. It's breaking down with and rebuilding, uniting together with the death of Superman, a funeral at the end. So it's a cycle that you see there. So I clearly love those different takes, and even like the symbolism, the Christ-like symbolism, references to Excalibur, or even movie references to like Lex walking through the hall is a 2001 reference, which we knew, but it's great that he confirms that. And different things like how each character, Lex and Bruce and Clark, they all have internal struggles with themselves, and you can see that internal conflict within their own environment. So Lex at his own house, internally struggling, Bruce at his own manor, internally struggling, and Clark in the fortress of solitude, right? And I like what he explained about some of those places they are in, like Clark's fortress of solitude. is really is not an actual physical fortress in that sense. He wanted to be in more metaphorical, more that the Fortress of Solitude is like an internalized by Superman into a more a conceptual self-imposed solitude. So he envisions Jonathan Kent instead of Jor-El, because he's trying to seek his humanity, so that way he either dreams or sees the ghost, and all of them could work, because it's kind of like a spiritual journey for him in a sense. While Bruce, he goes into the Wayne Manor. It's the mantelpiece of his father. It parallels Clark doing the same on the mountain. So the Kents have a relationship to Earth, while the Waynes have a relationship to commerce and industry. And with the inclusion of Lex, all three of them have this conflict that actually ends up clashing towards towards the third act of this film, right? And he likes the film, and you see this a lot, people walking away from the camera, because that's solitude. They're alone, facing nature, their enemy or adversary. So there's a lot substance within those visual medium that he shows there. And yes, he talks about how a lot of it with the Dark Knight Returns, and how he tries to embody that Dark Knight Returns. I thought he was interesting when he talked about Dark Knight Returns, is that he thinks the director should be able to make a Dark Knight Returns live action, and I don't know if he's hinting that he's gonna do it, or that maybe possibly, and I know I'm just guessing, because Jay Oliva did say that why don't he direct a Dark Knight Returns live action, because he did the animated one, and seeing that they probably could be collaborating more in the future, wouldn't it be awesome if Zack Snyder produced a Jay Oliva a live action Dark Knight Returns movie for like HBO Max or something? I think that was rather pretty cool to hear, and I hope that actually happens. So, but I like how he talked about the Martha scene again, where he talks about how he's Bruce is basically turned into the murderer of his parents. He's allowing them to kill Martha. He's blinded by his hatred. He's becoming the thing he hates, which is what we, all of us who watch the movie, totally understands, totally sees that, but it's great to see him kind of say that, and it just reinforced that things that we already knew. That's why the Martha scene is it's beautiful, and it actually makes it such a great way of stopping the fight, of trying to get Batman into, it's really saving Batman, right? He was reinvigorated and motivated to do what he couldn't and save Martha. He's motivated by a cleaner version of his morality. So I like that. I like that he goes into details within more substance, more depth, and explaining that depth of things that we already know in our heart as we watch the movie so many times. It's great to see him kind of reinforce what we've seen, what we've felt into words, and I think that's it makes an incredible commentary, and really shows I love Batman v Superman, but I love it even more now, actually fully understanding what he really intended and justifying what we actually felt in our hearts when we saw that, right? But he does go into some Justice League stuff, and it's actually quite compelling. Like, he goes back into, of course, the nightmare scene, and how it's the idea that in the future, when the Flash was sending Flash back in time, Cyborg had two possibilities: we're to send Flash back. We've heard this at the SnyderCon, the panel. So he's going back to BVS was the original timeline. The new timeline is created later on to save the world from Darkseid. So where he said, instead, Bruce tells him, well, you went to that one, go to this one instead, because you already went that one and then it was too soon. So, go to this one instead. And so I like that he talked about that. I didn't realize the nightmare sequence was fought on the lake where the glass house was, right? And underneath it was the Batcave, so which is now the Justice League headquarters, or what's left of it. So you can kind of gauge, okay, that's where he was at. He's exactly placed at the place in the Batcave, because when Flash comes through, he's actually at the same environment where he's fighting parademons in the Nightmare future. So he's in that near that spot in any case. So I thought that was really cool. And of course he talks about Superman succumbing to the anti-life equation, things like that. Lois's death would make him succumb to that, so he's already hinting at that, and possibly seeing that in the future as well. So I thought that was a really good thing. And also even talked a little bit more about the end, which I thought was really cool. And it's about Superman's death. His scream. There's a shot where he has a scream and you hear it and you see this flash, and his scream was so powerful that it echoed across the world and woke up the mother boxes, right? If there's mother boxes to be waking up. That's amazing. And I'm thinking, just like what Dave, and I think either Dave or Garza or Colbert had written an article like a year ago, they talked about how the beginning of Justice League would be kind of like how Batman v Superman showed the ending of Man of Steel in a different perspective. Maybe Justice League will show the ending of Batman v Superman with a different perspective, possibly Lois, but with the added fact that you see Superman's death scream, echo across the world into the galaxy, waking up. You see shots of waking up the mother bosses. That shot where it says he has yet to rise, that scream, and it zooms out, and you see Steppenwolf and talking to Desaad, and they hear it and realize that there's no more Kryptonians over there, and get ready to conquer. So I thought that's pretty cool to actually maybe even possibly get a glimpse of how Justice League movie actually began, which is really, really nice. He also revealed that Lex was communing with Steppenwolf during that one little scene. I still hope that the OG Steppenwolf is in Justice League, but anyway. And reveals that Lex Luthor is actually part of Darkseid's plan in some way, in some fashion. He is part of Darkseid's plan. Okay. Because the implication is that from Steppenwolf told Lex that he serves something greater in Darkseid. He doesn't know the anti-life equation is here on Earth, but he knows that the mother boxes are here and the Earth is ripe for conquest. So a lot more, referencing what's to come all the time. He also says that Lex was already on his way to his iconographic look. Of course, he's going to keep shaving his head outside of prison. So this was the beginning. This is the journey of Lex Luthor becoming the Lex Luthor we know from the comic books, which is really, really cool to hear him say that. That pulls it out of the way. Whatever theory he had about, this is the Lex Luthor's son, it's a different Lex Luthor. No, this is Lex Luthor. This is his version of Lex Luthor. Just like this is a version of Jimmy Olsen, who is truly dead. He's dead. He's not coming back. And so, which is fine. I didn't really care too much about Jimmy Olsen anyway. And then, he kind of really hints at Justice League here, right? After we've seen, he shows some more pictures and he kind of wraps up everything, talks about Superman and how he's, just like how I said, he's pretty much the 1938 volatile Superman thrown into the conflicts, into this contextual modern world of our modern world. And so he has to deal with our modern thinking, our modern view of an alien from another world. So I like that he goes into that as well, and I truly, 100%, he 100% understands Superman, and 100% knows how to evolve Superman into this modern version. But he does, like I said, at the end, truly hints at Justice League. He says, I think they should make a sequel to this movie someday. That will be something else. Don't they eventually form some? And the feed just cut off. Like, it just shut off, and I'm like left like aghast, and I'm like, oh my god, refresh, what the fuck is going on? Refresh, and it cut off for everyone at the exact same time. Even for people in the Eastern Standard Time, apparently it cut off at exactly 2:14 p.m. like it was meant to be. And I think Zack had every intention to have cut off. He's he just cut it off just like that. Wow, boss move, man, boss move. People were flipping out. We're like, oh my god, he's finally talking about Justice League. Boop, turns it off. But the thing you can get out of that, though, is that he clearly just kind of condemns, in a way, that the movie that came out in theaters is essentially not the sequel to the movie we just saw today, Batman v Superman. It's not the sequel. Like I said, I think they should make a sequel to this movie someday, acknowledging that what we saw in the movie, the Justice League version, is definitely not the sequel. He had nothing to do with that, or very minimal to do with that being released. That's not the version he wants us to say. So eventually, and yet, he'll probably be able to share, Zack Snyder's Justice League with us, right? And then we'll get to see all the magnificent things that possibly in that film, and hopefully he'll be able to comment on that, like how he hinted Martian Manhunter. He hinted in Batman v Superman commentaries, like, oh, there's Harry Lennox twice now, and twice he says there's Harry Lennox pretending to be human. He knows very well that we know that that's Martian Manhunter. He revealed to us a while back, but that's him playing coy, just playing coy with that fact, and I like that. I think that's very Zack Snyder, and so yes, 100%. Believe he cut that off intentionally to kind of toy with it and play coy and just having fun with it. So I can't wait. And Zach, I can't wait to see Justice League. I hope he does this again with the Justice League commentary, unless its commentary is going to be included with Justice League. I don't know. And one maybe extra, I would love to see like a parody version where he comments and on Justice League after his Justice League comes out, right? Maybe just for fun, just to see him flip out on that one, because his sense of humor is actually really funny, especially when he talks about the thugs and stuff like that, how they're 100% fine. People are making memes out of today's event, which is awesome, hilariously awesome. Incredible day today. A great time to share this with fans today, fans around the world. I don't know how many views Vero got, but the YouTube version of this had over 600 or 700, 800, even more probably. I'm sure Vero had a lot more. And it was fun. It was a great event, a great time, and I hope we'll be able to get to see Zack doing the next one, which is Zack Snyder's Justice League. All right, well, in any case, yes, the link is down in the description below. Please go check it out, sync it up, and have yourself a good time. 3 hours of awesome content for you, in addition to watching Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, Ultimate Edition, once again. All right, guys, well, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.